Good morning, my name is Ola Atamanova. I want to thank everybody who joins us in Ukraine Media Center, Ukraine Forum. It's day 527 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by Russian aggressor, and now we will be talking about the operation of our air forces. Joining us online is Yurii Ihnat, spokesperson of the Air Force Command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Mr. Yurii, good morning. Good morning. Mr. Yurii, we see that lately the enemy has intensified the strikes. We feel it in all parts of our country. What do you document? What is the situation for the time being? Do you see any dynamics, any changes? Can you please tell us about that? Well, you see, every time we get online with you, every time there is a word intensified. I wouldn't say that enemy has intensified anything, but they do anything to be able to use the more possible means and measures to inflict the more possible damage on us, but they have some deficit of artillery weapons. They look for it all around the world, and they manufacture the ammunition, the rockets, at their maximum capabilities, everything that they can manufacture regardless the sanctions imposed on them for the time being. Obviously, they will act in compliance with the tasks set for them by the command of the aggressor. They will inflict strikes in the directions they deem necessary to achieve their goals. We see that. Mr. Yurii, we're not hearing you. Mr. Yurii, I would like to ask you to check the sound, to check your microphone. One, two. Mr. Yurii, are you hearing us? Yes, now I am. Yes, we're hearing you too. You've got interrupted when you started talking about the enemy's priorities, about the enemy priority targets. Yes, that's the port infrastructure, our grain. This is what they're interested in. And obviously they will do what they were doing in the 30s of the last century. They will impose artificial famine. They will cut our logistic ways from the world. And don't forget, there are intense battles in the front lines. The main job is being done by those sitting in the forward edge of the battle area in the trenches, and aviation supports them in all ways possible thanks to the support of our partners that is adapted, the weapons that are adapted to our planes. Our aviation was working yesterday quite intensely. Army aviation, Air Force all together, inflicting serious strikes on the enemy. I know there are always a lot of UAVs in the air. Enemy uses a lot of them too, and frequently we down them too. So what should we expect in the future? Well, everybody wants to know the forecast. Well, you know, in 2 days we will have an Air Force Day. There will be interesting events in Kyiv. Well, they will be promulgated soon about what our defenders do. I know there will be some symbolic things popping up in the mass media. Well, we would like to greet and congratulate our Air Force, and thanks for everything you do to defend us and defend our homeland. Mr. Yurii, you've said something about the residues. Let's stop at that topic. We've seen the other day the investigation by our journalists who say that we are being targeted by this very same missiles that we gave away to Russians in 1999 in exchange for gas discounts or something like that, other preferences, and now those missiles target us. What do you document? And talking about the UAVs, can we say that Russians start striking us not only with Iranian Shaheds but with other Russian drones? Do they have any technologies using which they can target us? Well, they have the manufacturing of UAVs. It's Lancet. They used to have it for a long time. Well, they are conditionally theirs. You know, they use Western technologies. There are Western manufacturers identified who manufacture components for them. They make different modifications with different radius, effective radius, and different warheads. Well, about other UAVs, they have Orlan, they have four-post. Well, obviously not without Western components. But talking about Shaheds, which is the most widely used type of UAV, is a strike UAV. Those marks that we see in the radars of those UAVs, they say Iran, or they draw other letters there. They are the same Shaheds. Well, you can draw anything on the radar, basically. Mr. Yurii, your sound is off again. Well, I would like to ask you to switch on the microphone again so we can resume our broadcast. Mr. Yurii, have you made it? Well, it seems like everything is fine. Can you hear us? Yeah, we're hearing you too. Well, it's happening automatically. Something seems to jam us. Well, so no matter what you call this, Iran is the same Iranian Shahed drone, and they are about to arrange the assembly of those drones in their territory. I think they have almost everything ready for that. Mr. Yurii, the president said recently that this month the training of our Ukrainian pilots on F-16s is about to start. Do you have any details about that? Well, the details were already mentioned multiple times by everybody who is authorized to talk about that, including the Western politicians, Western officials. So we orient at the end of the summer. This is when the training should start in European countries for serious training. So we have to understand it won't be very quick, but it won't be as long as the Russians hope to. I think that our pilots, just like our guys mastered the Patriots, our pilots are going to master the training program for F-16s. The only thing we need is to have all of the air coalition, those who have flight simulators, instructors, training planes, to have all of them involved in this process, because we need it real quick. We need the most people possible to go through this training program. Mr. Yurii, are you going to unveil it for us, how many months our pilots are about to need for training, or is it something that is not supposed to be promulgated? Well, we were saying about a term of about half a year. This is what they need to master F-16, not only to learn how to fly, but to use all types of weapons, and there are dozens of types of weapons used on F-16. So those pilots who were going to the United States, who were training there, or who were not training but were undergoing the evaluation course there, they were evaluated on how quick they can switch from the Soviet airplane to a Western airplane, Western aircraft. So there was an optimistic forecast of 4 months, but I have to say that every pilot has their individual training, and the practice will show them some may have penchant to some type of weapons, some type of equipment. So what's really necessary is to learn how to fight using the fighter jet. Mr. Yurii, and the last question is about our international support. Do we probably expect any reinforcements of our air defense systems or other measures that we may talk about? Well, I think everybody keeps talking about this after the attacks on Mykolaiv and the Odessa region. on the port infrastructure when Russia has withdrawn from the grain deal. Obviously, we have to protect all of Ukraine, all of the areas which are mostly attacked by the enemy, and without the air defense systems, well, before the arrival of the fixed-wing aircraft, we understand that it will take some time, so air defense systems may come earlier, both the systems and the ammunition for them. NASAMS, SMT, Patriot, this is the backbone of the air defense systems that may protect all of the skies above Ukraine and replace the Soviet era systems. We have no other way than that. We have to get reinforced, and don't forget, the winter is coming when the Russians will probably want to try some provocations, so we have no options. We only have to reinforce. Thank you very much for joining our broadcast. I'm reminding you, joining us was Yurii Ihnat, the spokesperson of the Air Force Command of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, and our next briefing is at 12 o'clock. We expect Alexander Horunzhy, press officer of the State Emergency Service, to join us in this studio, and we will be talking about the main rules of safety on the water given the war conditions. So stay tuned. Let's work together for victory and glory to Ukraine.